Hey guys, how you doing? Today I want to talk about a simple investing mistake that a lot of Canadians make that is really easily avoidable. And so we're going to talk about it, and if it pertains to you, that might be a good reason for you to reach out and talk to us about how you need to do this. So we're going to talk about an example that is very simple and very straightforward, just so you kind of understand the concept better than if I'm getting into the nitty-gritty details of like all of the things that are going to be encompassed within making these changes. But from a very simple standpoint, we're going to use an example of a fairly wealthy Canadian, and they have an RSP and a non-registered account, and each account has $1 million in them. Good for them. They don't have TFSAs for whatever reason. They just haven't done it, and which actually happens all the time. People will have a whole bunch of savings or cash sitting there, and they don't actually have their TFSA filled up. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But so they've got $1 million in each. And this person is, on the older side. They're a fairly conservative investor, so they are exactly in the middle, balanced with 50% in fixed income, which is like bonds and GICs, and 50% in stocks or equities. So they've got $1 million in stocks, and they've got $1 million in GICs in this example. What happens in a lot of cases is that you'll have each account will have that exact balance. So the non-reg will have 50-50, it'll have a balanced portfolio, and the RSP will have a balanced portfolio as well. But in this example, just to show like how this really works, I'm going to pretend that this person has all $1 million in their RSP in a stock portfolio, 100% equities, and then in their non-registered, they have $1 million in GICs. So does that make sense? So we're on the same page there. This usually doesn't happen, but a lot of times people with their non-registered accounts do own a lot of GICs in their non-registered accounts and have more of their portfolio that's managed within their RSP. So in this case, we're going to start looking at tax now. Okay, so it doesn't matter how money is made within the RSP because it's not taxed like that. The growth is not taxed. So the growth on these stocks, the dividends that are paying, the capital gains that are being realized when stocks are being sold or whatever, or you're starting to withdraw from your RSP, they are not taxed. But the GICs in that $1 million non-registered account are 100% fully taxable. So let's say in this example, just to make apples to apples, even though this wouldn't be the case, each portfolio makes 5% in 1 year. So the RSP, the stocks grow 5%. So made $50,000, no tax owing. It has nothing to do with their withdrawal strategy. It has nothing to do with that. And the non-registered account made $50,000 in interest income. All $50,000 of that income is 100% taxable. So now we're assuming, because they're fairly wealthy, and this is going to apply to Canadians that are on the wealthier side because they have a large non-registered portfolio. It means they have a lot of money outside of their RSPs and TFSAs. So you have to be on the wealthier side to be in that situation. So all you are going to want to do is say, I'm going to put all of these GICs or this fixed income into my RSP, and I'm going to take all of the stocks that I own and I'm going to invest them in my non-registered account. Because roughly speaking, and this isn't exactly the case, but roughly speaking, you're going to be paying about half the tax that you would on just generating income from interest. So capital gains are taxed at exactly half of what you would be, and dividends depends on the sliding scale of where you are. So in this example, they made $50,000 in their non-reg account from the GICs, have a marginal tax rate of 40%. Well, they are going to owe $20,000 in tax. They're going to be left with $30,000 after they've paid their tax to reinvest the next year. If that 5% was made through dividends and capital gains, there will be unrealized gains, so this number is going to be even lower. But just to make things easy, let's pretend their tax bill is cut in half. Now they only owe 20% in tax on that, so they've saved $10,000 in tax that gets to be reinvested or spent the next year. So it's very obvious that this is a generic example and it's not quite that simple. You'd have to look at it at a case-by-case basis, say what is your overall risk tolerance? Is it 60-40? Is it 50-50? How much is your RRSP compared to your non-reg? What does your planning entail as far as your withdrawal strategy? How do we rebalance this every year? But once it's set up, it's pretty easy to follow along, and it can save you a lot of money in taxes just by sort of doing that simple restructuring of it while you still have the exact same risk tolerance that you did before. So you're not changing anything, you're not changing your holdings, you're just changing where your holdings are held, and it can save you some money in tax. So if this is an issue for you, we'd certainly be happy to talk about it. Check out k4financial.ca or just email us at info@k4financial.ca and we'll chat and go from there and see if we can help. Thanks again for watching, and we'll chat soon.